Hello, and thank you for clicking on this video. So I wanted to ask you, are near-death experiences real? Now, I did a video on this topic on the intro playlist that's on the channel. But I want to bring it up here because it's, first of all, very interesting, okay? But I do want to ask you, are near-death experiences real? Now, you may have, read testimonials. You may have seen interviews on near-death people that have had near-death experiences. You may know already about it, or you may not know anything about it. You may have heard about it and just kind of dismissed it as hogwash or whatever. So I do want to bring it up, though, because I've read hundreds of testimonials. I've seen hundreds of interviews, and there is. So what really hits me after hundreds, probably 1,000 or more actually, is that there are consistencies, but each one is unique to the person. And there maybe, well, like I said, it's unique to the person. It's hard to describe unless you really read a bunch of these or listen to interviews. But what it is, it's like, it's unique to the person, and everyone is unique. And we have an infinite creator, so that makes sense. But there's consistencies, which really, that's what really kind of grabs your attention. Anybody can make up stories, but when there's consistencies and people who don't know each other and like there's no connections personally, that has to grab your attention a little bit, okay? Plus, people may say, oh, it's just and this always, I was never sold on this, that your brain does things when you're about to die. Well, I mean, first of all, this is a whole separate video, but first of all, is your thoughts and stuff created in your brain or not? That's a whole different video, different question. But if you have not really looked into these or watched testimonials of people who have had near-death experiences, I encourage you to please do. You can just search here on YouTube for plenty of testimonials. Now, keep in mind, just like anything, not just this, but just like anything, people can make up stories for attention. But the majority, majority of the ones I've seen, is people actually keep it secret because of the being made fun of, the fear of being made fun of. People, of course, don't believe it, and then you're labeled some weird person. There's many people that haven't, but then when they do share it, like, you see the emotion. Okay, there's good actors in the world, but not everyone is. And so I encourage you to really watch some interviews. Actually, if there's one to watch, okay, what I would suggest is you can search on YouTube. Guy's name's Eben. That's E as in Elliot, B as in boy, E as in Elliot, N as in Nancy. Eben Alexander. Search for him. The reason why especially for people who aren't familiar with this topic, this is a great example, because this guy was a Harvard professor who taught brain surgery. So he knows about the brain and everything. And he was analytical. Of course, he was the professor at Harvard that taught brain surgery. So he was that type of minded until he had his own near-death experience. And so it's a very interesting testimonial. Of course, everyone's is really interesting. But if you're one of these people that's like, I don't believe it unless I see it, or if you're just definitely science, logical, analytical minded, this is the guy to watch. But even if you're not, this is the guy to watch, because it's a great testimony. and there's medical records and there's facts to back everything he set up. Okay. Um, so, but I would definitely encourage you to look into this, because really, now I'm not saying this is like the only way or anything, but for me personally, what the night things really clicked, and like I realized that, heaven's not just waiting for me to die to get there before things happen. Like, God in heaven is working now. They always are, of course. God or Lord, angels, whatever. And it's happening here on earth. Okay. Like, that was the kind of the connection. That had I have heaven and earth, like in the Bible, His will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Like, it's all connected. And so that was part of the start of the journey of these connections. I started. God was showing me. But what clicked that off is I've read and watched many of these, but that particular Saturday night, for some reason, it hit me differently, and it just clicked. And I desired, because I knew it was happening now, on earth now, and I knew it. It was like I knew it, and I desired it. Like, I just craved it more than anything. And the next morning, God made it really real to me, which was the start of amazingness, but a whole different level, like my relationship and all the things I've talked about here the last 2.5 years. That was what kicked it off. And that's why I do stress, you have to desire it. You have to feel it, like have that craving, that feeling inside where you can't even get your mind off of it, and know it is that way. And He will show you. He will show you, definitely. But getting back to the question, are near-death experiences real? Really the only way to really know is to look into it yourself, because like there's definitely some foundations, like I've talked about NDERF, NDERF. There's IONS. There's a couple definitely main foundations that have testimonials on their website that you can read. And right now, or again on YouTube, you can just search, or I suggest Eben Alexander, starting with him. But the consistencies is what's like mind blowing. Okay. Because if people were making up stories, there wouldn't be these consistencies. And it's not like, and like I said, many of these people hide it, don't talk about it because of the ridicule they'll get. They're not like trying to sell books. Some have, okay? But, that's not the majority. And when you think about it, this is, there's been thousands. I don't even know how many stories are out there that you can look up. But if only one is true, of course I believe many are true, but if only one is true, then it's amazing. You know what I mean? So anyways, also when it kind of goes, like in the Bible, when it talks about, there'll be basically the veil will start to come down, basically, in many ways. And more will be shown, more miraculous things. And really with technology in the health field, being able to bring people back from death, from their bodies. Now, of course, it all comes really with God, but the technology to keep the body, the temple, intact enough for it to happen. And again, nothing's impossible with God. But this is something that's as scientific almost that you can get to prove. Um, because there's too many correlations, okay, when you really look at this. And it's about as close as you can get to prove using science, because science only looks at the natural, and trying to use science to prove the supernatural, it just doesn't work. But God lets you know, okay? And if you seek, you will find. If you knock on the door, it will be opened. So I suggest, if you haven't looked into this, to definitely do it, no matter if you're a skeptic or not, because skepticism is good. I mean, you have to be authentic. You have to be true. And if you don't believe something, of course. But don't dismiss things without looking into it first, though. That's what many people seem to do, and you're missing out if you do. Okay, you're missing out if you do. So, anyways, I wanted to bring this topic up and encourage you, like I said, to look into this. Watch testimonies on YouTube, whatever. Read testimonies, and please comment below, of course, your thoughts on it. If you know about it, or if you're curious about it, questions, anything like that. Or I would love if you've actually had a near-death experience, because I've talked to a couple. I've met people who actually have had near-death experiences or like out-of-body experiences, and have felt or experienced the glory of God, the power of, like, it's unexplainable. It's unexplainable. It's like a power where you instantly know that with no effort, with a snap of your finger, can take you out of existence. Power. It's not power like you know here on Earth, not at all. But anyways, I'm kind of going off here. But please share if you definitely have had a near-death experience. I would love to hear those. I love to hear those. Like, that's God's work, you know, and that's your testimony. That's your book in the Bible, you know, that God gave to you to share. So anyways, if you like the video, thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, ring-a-ding-a-ling that bell for notifications, to be notified when I upload videos. And as always, stay strong and God bless.